Wow. Hey, everybody.
everybody.
Morning.
It's American Awakening Squad coming to you hot and live. Today, we've got a great Nashville presence in the house. Jeremy Cowart, great to see you, brother.
You too, man. Good to be here.
All right. And so we got even more Nashville presence coming in a little bit with a little music. But first, to kick us off, we've got our friend Josh Jacob. Josh, what do you have for us, brother?
Thank you, JK. Let me just straighten myself out here. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Decided to pick a kind of revamped hymn here, so hope you like it. Rock of Ages, clap for me. Let me hide myself in thee. Let the water and the blood from thy wounded side which flow be of sin the double cure, safe from wrath and make me pure. Not the labors of my hands can fulfill the last commands. Should my passion never fade, and my efforts all be weighed, all for sin could not atone. You must save, and you alone, Rock of Ages. No one takes your life, yet you died that I might live. Costly grace you freely give. Rock of Ages, you have paid the price. You were clear to cover me. Let me hide myself in thee. Nothing in my hand I bring, simply to the cross I cling. Naked come to thee for dress, helpless look to thee for grace. Wretched to the fount I fly, watch me, Savior, or I die. Rock of Ages, no one takes your life, yet you died that I might live. Costly grace you freely give. Rock of Ages, you have paid the price. You were cleft to cover me. Let me hide myself in thee. And while I draw my final breath, I rest upon your grace. And when I close my eyes in death, I wait to see your face. Rock of Ages, no one takes your life. Yeah, you died that I might live. Costly grace you freely give. Rock of Ages.
Good start.
Josh.
That was awesome. Good start.
Bringing the old school grit, man.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm on my front foot now, ready to roll with these guys. What do you have for the daily dose today, Pastor Joel?
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to your daily dose. So I want to talk a little bit about what it means to be healthy in this digital age. And I got to admit, I just finished eating lunch with my kids, which was mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. So you might want to take that into consideration that I'm talking about health and I just ate mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. However, I think there are some deep principles when we think about digital life, especially right now, about what is healthy and what is not. And I want to think in one lens particularly, which is if we say we follow Jesus, there is something about Jesus that is completely incarnational, embodied, up close, real. The whole idea of Jesus, who Jesus is, who Jesus was, why he came, was, as one of his names is called, Emmanuel, or God with us. And so there's something that we have to, I think, really challenge about our lives becoming increasingly digital. And we talk a lot about that on the show, but specifically as we think about it today, about what it means to have a real life in the midst of there being so many digital options out there. It's this idea that there's something that actually happens in face-to-face real relationship that cannot happen in any other way. And if that is the way that God chose to show up in our world, in the flesh, in person, embodied, then I think we should be asking ourselves, why does that matter? And how is that playing out in my own life? Am I spending more time in my digital life than I am in real relationships? And, I recommend, just to get practical for a minute, like the Screen Time app. Man, that thing, when that pops up, I think mine comes up on Sunday evenings and I see how much time I spent on my phone. That can be pretty depressing. And it's a great wake-up call to say, wait a minute, am I spending enough time with the real people in my life? And not just because there's like all the great social science and neuroscience that shows us that, but because, again, it's the way of Jesus to be in embodied relationship. So that's my encouragement to you. That's my hope for all of us. And even though we're coming to you digitally, I hope that you'll take this and transfer it this coming week to some real embodied relationship. That's your daily dose. Back to you, John.
Thanks, Joel.
So good. It was so good. We lost Josh.
Yes. Well,
Dropped out of square.
we wanted to go find some in-person.
That's right.
There he is.
Back. Josh is back. So I got a question for you as we ahead of us kicking it over to Jeff and Jeremy and the rest of the squad. So I 100% agree with everything you said, and I
Good, because I quoted your book.
Oh well. There may be a virtuous circle to that, yes. But thank you. And so my question is the following. So what do you do if the trend line of life is for other people around us to not really want to be present to us just because everybody's doing it, right? So I may want to get off my phone, but you may have 4 people around you that are observing their phone. Maybe let's just say adolescent children or spouses, maybe just whatever, but or somebody else. But the point is the following: what do you do when a principle's good and you're tempted to it yourself, to going the old way and just being attached to a screen and looking away from the people around you? But then if you actually put it down and you're attentive to the people, then they're not really there either. So how do you reverse that? I mean, I'm not actually looking to you as for the answer, Joel. Like I'm raising it as a rhetorical question. And let me give an analogy here. I used to tell people, I mean, and this doesn't mean that this is like an impossibility. It's a kind of a little bit of a riddle or a puzzle. I used to tell everybody, back when I was first raising kids, when I was a young man, many years ago, and I was having kids, and I was like, I remember back in my day, we just play in the neighborhood, and like it was, unscripted fun. And then I said, let's work to bring that back. And then you realize you actually couldn't bring that back because if you chose to not schedule your kids with everyone else being scheduled in the neighborhood, then you just happen to be the one person that had the unscheduled kid who was not doing anything, right? So you can't force the old dynamics to come back. They don't come back just of their own, because the river around you has moved. So it's kind of like, so I realized, well, I really can't make neighborhood fun just happen, because it's just the world has actually moved on from that, where everybody's going to their piano lessons or, soccer practice or whatever. And so I, kind of had to take the world as it was in that regard. And I think about it in this case. Anyway, the point is, does anybody have any ideas? If there's no good ideas, then there's no good ideas. But I just thought I'd toss it out there.
Well, definitely something comes to my mind, which is I first heard this phrase from a mutual friend of many of ours, Gabe Lyons. I think he got it from somewhere else, but the idea that you can't create culture you can't change culture by destroying culture. You can only change culture by creating new culture. And I think there's a certain way in which, as followers of God, we are actually supposed to sometimes just create a whole new culture. And so while I hear you, and I have definitely faced that same challenge in my own kids' lives, like the exact same challenge, I wonder too if at some point we aren't supposed to be the ones that just create a whole new way of doing things. And by doing that, we actually invite others into it and create the space where we do that. And then more specifically, like, we got to challenge each other sometimes in love, whether it's our spouse or our friend, like, hey, dude, I want to have a conversation with you. I want to spend time with you. Can you put the phone down? And there's different ways to do that depending on the relationship. But so, we just got to lead sometimes. Those are my thoughts.
No,
I totally agree with that. I'm all for shaming people about the fun. Depending on who they are in your life, because really, if you're there, you guys have scheduled to meet up for dinner because you haven't seen each other, and it's been like, yeah, we need to catch up, and then you get there and like everybody's pinging you now, and you have to answer all those texts. For people that you love and people who you value, right? This culture of like being together, I think it is something we've got to fight for, and sometimes, like you said, lovingly challenge one another. Like, what do we value here? Because we could have just texted each other, and if I got more attention from you over text, we didn't need to meet for dinner. Not sharing any personal stories here.
Yeah. So the thought occurs to me. I agree with everything everybody's saying. It's totally fair. But perhaps you've been a violator against that principle for too long a time, and you don't really have much moral standing to say. Come on. You know what I'm talking about, some of you out there. All right. Enough. I said Dan Hazeltine is saying in the comments box that he gets the most text interruptions from the American Awakening team. Well, we're sorry, Dan, and we're gonna exclude you from our text chains now. So you can go back to your phone.
He's off. Delete it.
All right, Jeff Bethke, Jeremy, it's over to you.
Yes, we're excited for the conversation, you guys. As you know, once a week on this stream, we come in with what we call American Awakening in Focus, where we chat about the book that comes out very soon that we're super stoked on, that John wrote, 8 Principles to Restore the Soul of America. It's so needed right now. We've been rereading it for our podcast, mine and my wife's podcast, and it's fascinating. New stuff stands out. I absolutely love it. I'm excited for the conversation today. I actually think, I'd love to hear your thoughts, John. We'll toss to you after Jeremy, but I think very much so this seems like the heartbeat chapter, meaning like this is the stuff I was hearing you talk about before the book was fully written. So I feel like this is the heartbeat of the before and after this chapter. It's very good. Chapter 6, You're Not Alone, Share Your Highs and Your Lows. And as you know, with In Focus, we always have a fun guest to just kind of bring us into the conversation, help us on the conversation, get their thoughts on the conversation. Today's guest is Jeremy Cowart. Jeremy, I don't know if you know this, but we probably have a million mutual friends. I'm sure we might have even met back in the day. I don't know, but I know about you, follow you, and it's so fun to see all that you're always doing. And I'm stoked that you're in this conversation. Now, I got to read this really thick, awesome biography, because if I had this good of a bio, I would want this read before I enter rooms. You know what I mean? Like, and proceed, okay?
You don't have to read it.
No, I will. It's just context, right? But Jeremy has been named the most influential photographer on the internet by Huffington Post. That's a big one. Forbes and Yahoo in 2014. He's also an award-winning photographer, artist, and entrepreneur whose mission in life is to explore the intersection of creativity and empathy. He's published 4 books. He's a sought-after speaker. He's been on TEDx stages, United Nations, and I can go on. And his latest endeavor is the Purpose Hotel, which is a planned global for-profit hotel chain designed to fuel the work of not-for-profit organizations. He's the founder of Global Photography Movement, Help Portrait, and a mobile social networking app called OK Do This, and an online teaching platform, C University. I mean, what else can you actually do? There should be more, right? That's not enough. And he lives in Nashville. You what?
I should scratch all that and just say professionally ADD.
There we go. I like that. Aren't most entrepreneurs anyways, right? I like that. So, and he lives in Nashville, Tennessee with his wife and 4 children. Jeremy, we're so stoked. But yeah, you tell us, were there anything you would add to that in a more contextual way? What are you up to these days? How are you doing?
I'm good. We're juggling the hotel right now. Obviously, the hotel industry has been decimated due to COVID. And so, but oddly enough, in a lot of ways, it's actually been good for our journey and our story due to details I won't take the time to get into. But in a lot of ways, it's a good thing for our particular story. But so, yeah, we're plodding forward on that every day. I'm still a working photographer, so I have a lot of photo shoots. Obviously, I'm not speaking because conferences no longer exist. And I'm inventing new ways to do what I do. I did in April, I did 1,200 photo shoots virtually.
Wow.
So I got to meet and photograph people in 39 countries and all 50 American states. And so that was quite the ride. And I'm continuing to do virtual shoots and launching a new online platform here soon, and got my hands full as always.
Wait. You did 1,200 shoots in April? Come on. Give us some detail. How did this work?
Yeah, it's a crazy process. So I use software similar to Zoom, but it's people can pay you for it. It's called Crowdcast. And once they're in the broadcast, I project them onto an old vintage canvas on my wall. And there's about 40 people at a time in each photo shoot. And so I literally direct them as if they're actually standing here in the studio. I help them with their lighting and their poses. And we do about a 3 to 5 minute photo shoot. And then the next person pops on the screen, full screen, and I direct them and photograph them. And so it's crazy because it'll be like, you're in Brazil, and then you're in Austin, Texas, and then you're in South Africa, and then you're back to Franklin, Tennessee, and then you shoot across the world to, wherever. So it's 1,200 photo shoots done like that in April.
That's amazing. Yeah. Whoever's listening, make sure to follow Jeremy on Instagram. I think it's just Jeremy Cowart, right? But you show the journey and highlight there, and then even the stuff you did later with the around race and the Black community, just the stuff you're doing virtually and how you're using it is pretty insane and awesome. So well done. Well done.
Thank you.
But let's get going on this conversation, because we could spend all day talking even about that because it's so compelling and awesome. I just, you can go in the rabbit hole of Instagram and see how amazing it is. John, let's talk to you real quick, and then we'll go back to Jeremy. Just real quick, setting the context of this chapter, when we get into, you go really heavy on the loneliness epidemic and kind of deaths of despair, and really arguing that we need connection, we need personal community, we need this kind of entrenched life, this life where we are in the trenches with people, that's not superfluous, if that's the right word, or isn't just surface level, but is actually real, deep, rich, like the 20-year group you had with guys and some other things. Would you say that this was the heartbeat chapter? It felt like that to me, like that, man, everything was kind of leading up to this, and not that it's downhill from here, but I'm saying, you read these chapters where like it's the beginning, this was the seed that kind of is supplanting the rest of the book, at least having heard you talk about it. But what would you say?
As Jeff was just observing, the chapters after this are awful. Exactly. Woo!
It's not all downhill in a bad way. It's just the off ramp. You're off ramping them back into life.
Well, thank you, Jeff. As always, you're just so gracious about the whole thing, and I'm so grateful for you and your insights. And in so many ways, I just say, as I've shared with you many times, that you've been seeing the same cultural dynamics that I'm observing for a long time, and you've written about them, you've spoken about them so eloquently over time. So thank you for your contributions in all these ways. So fundamentally, what got me going on the entire project, the American Awakening project, fundamentally, not even just a book, was just this observation that we've as I was out in public life for 3 years and doing political stuff, I just became aware that our problem is not fundamentally political. Our problem is fundamentally spiritual. We've forgotten who we are as human beings and how to be together. And so no form of, and now believe me, I wish for better political leadership, but no form of political leadership is going to fundamentally re-instruct human beings how they're supposed to be as children of God and citizens of the Republic, and how we need each other to live together. So it ends up being an arc, from telling people who they are, themselves, purpose, overcoming adversity, redeeming adversity. We've talked about in past weeks, and all of that, and then to finally say, well, look, guys, you got to live in community. We need each other fundamentally. That's just the way we're wired. And all the leading indicators right now, the deaths of despair, 150,000 annually the last 3-4 years. 3 of the last 4 years, our life expectancy going down, anxiety, depression, alienation, isolation, loneliness spiking in every demographic. These are all leading indicators of having forgotten something really, really profound and deep. And yes, it is a loneliness epidemic out there. And that was happening before Corona. And we know now just how much more people are feeling like just not tapped into real human interaction. And real human interaction, it's hard, it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
You got to ask people in, you got to let yourself into their life. You got to commit to them. That's not easy, right? All that sort of
stuff. It's weird to read a chapter in a book, and I was rereading it this morning even, where it's almost more accelerated and apocalyptic in this moment. You know what I mean? Like you almost predicted it times 10,
Yeah.
And we're feeling it even more. But Jeremy, before we get into specifics, what did you think? Anything just specifically stick out to you? You're like, oh, that resonated, that was fascinating. Here's how I think about it in my domain or vocation.
Yeah, sorry, things cut out there for a minute, and so I missed a little. I don't know why. I don't know if it's my connection, but the context.
Oh, we were just saying. So with the chapter, I was going to say, hey, is there anything that stood out to you as you were reading it when you were thinking about it? Of just, hey, this is interesting in my domain or vocation, or here's how I thought about it, or I just love this part.
I'll be totally honest with y'all. I did not read the chapter.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
I don't know that was part of my homework.
We like honesty over here. We like honesty over here.
But
it's something you can still talk about, though. I mean, especially I think especially in your domain. When I actually thought of you this morning, and I was rereading it with your specific work, even in Hollywood, celebrities. You get to be behind the curtain that a lot of people want to be behind.
Yeah.
How has that impacted you on how you see the allure of that? How you see the loneliness maybe in that? How do you kind of navigate that, having been in that space a lot?
Oh gosh, well, I mean, in that space, I'm always reminded that everybody is just like we are. Celebrities are put up on such a pedestal, and they almost seem even more lonely because they've had these bubbles built around them, and they have all yes people around them, and they're told everything they want to hear, and nobody ends up being close to them, and so they're very, very isolated. It seems like. But at the end of the day, they're all just seeking, just like we are, and I found that a lot of them will reach out to me, and I'm like, I'm a nobody photographer. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a shame sometimes the way we celebrate them and put them on a pedestal and try to assume they're different than we are. And
yeah,
by the way, I don't know that I've ever been more embarrassed telling y'all I didn't read the.
I love it. Hey, I like the honesty.
Like,
I like the honesty.
Sometimes, like when people are so sort of true to your sense of who they are. Like I love you. I love hanging out with you, Jeremy. Totally. Like I've enjoyed you so much, and so somehow it just feels right that you came in like. No, I didn't do the reading.
Exactly.
Exactly. I thought I'm kind of like happier.
Exactly.
That means a lot. I feel the same. I love true honesty, and yeah, I must have missed that email or something. But my apologies, truly.
No, it's all good, man.
No, the topic is still even outside of the book of loneliness, depression, anxiety, deaths, and despair. We can talk about that without reading a chapter.
Yeah,
but John's chapter is phenomenal. Marissa, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I'll be honest, this is the chapter of the book that made me want to throw the book across the room. Like just
those are the good chapters.
That's real. I mean, just one of these things where just being totally honest. And I'm going to read the line that got me, John, okay? That we have the much greater task to fight the epidemic of loneliness and person by person, brick by brick, build communities that can do life together. And they will need constant rebuilding. And when I read that, I was like, Lord God, the work. Oh, the work. So much work. And I think, again, it's one of these things where I felt that. And then I instantly was like, okay, Marissa, like, where's that coming from? Like, why is that such a thing? And it gave me some context. I think for people, I'm going to say people like us too, because I think everybody who's sort of on this right now, we're all like very accomplishment driven people. And we're all sort of building things. I mean, Jeremy's doing countless, you're doing how many photo shoots in a day? I mean, John building things, your whole life, Joel too. I mean, Jeff as well. I mean, and for people who are constantly like trying to, achieve some visions or build some things, I think it's probably easy a lot of times to let the people and the relationships and the community, let that go by the wayside in order so that you can build the thing that you see. And it's really interesting because I feel like in this moment, right, this like Corona moment, this like reckoning moment, things have slowed down for almost everyone. And the gift of that is to like think about like, wait, okay, so no one wants to take meetings with you in person. Nobody is going to like entertain some of the things you're saying for a little bit. I'm left with my family that I'm staring at every day. I'm left with the people that I'm dealing with in the moment. And like, what's been the result of me choosing the thing over the thems? And it's a really powerful thing because it made me stare down the reality of this Jesus thing is about people and communities of people. And you can say you love Jesus all day. If you don't want the people and you refuse the community because of all the good stuff and the real stuff that happens there, then you're missing a huge chunk of it, Marissa. So I just want to say thank you, John, because I felt convicted more than I have in a long time. Because the thing is good. And this is honestly something, I mean, this lesson has been just personally coming to me for several years now in different places. But the thing isn't bigger than the people.
That's true. That is true.
That is good.
Well, one of the things about you, Marissa, is that everybody's got their strengths and everybody's got their limitations. And one of your strengths is you are so wise and so initiative driven. But you've got a little bit of the solo wanderer in you, right? Which is great because you travel light and you can go great distances, right? But on the other hand, sometimes you say, okay, maybe I need to slow down to like sort of for these things. So I can see why that'd be one that you'd wrestle with it just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, how have you really? I mean, again, as somebody who's walked through this, right, and sort of is like seeing the value of the thing on the other side. Mm-hmm. What was it that did it for you?
Yeah.
I mean, what was your like moment?
Yeah, my wiring is probably the other way. Mm-hmm. That intuitively and naturally, maybe it's out of my weakness even that I know I need people. I'm weaker than you, so I know I need people, which becomes a strength that I know I need people, right? I mean, so it's strengths, weaknesses, all that. Yeah, but I just 30 some odd years ago, I'm in my mid 50s now. I just started to realize, like, look, something about bringing people together and staying with them, staying the course with them, and so just people put wise words in my life and in my path and said, hey, no, structurally committing to people is a good thing because it won't just happen, on its own. And I'm just thinking about it right now. So this week, I was on a Zoom call with 20 some odd guys. We've done a guys fellowship for the last 25 years. We get together in Colorado, and some of those guys I've known for 30 some odd years. You know, and I was like, all right, you know, we haven't gotten together recently as much as we'd like, you know, in person, but 20 some odd years we've been living like the hardest things of life together. That was special, right? To be, we were toasting, you know, a tribute to an 85-year-old mentor of ours. It was his birthday. And so it was really special, right? And then last night I was on the phone with, you know, my small group locally. We, you know, we're getting together less in person for all the reasons, you know, that group of guys, you know, per the chapter has been getting together for 20 something years now. And you know, and then next weekend, you know, the guys in the baseball fantasy league, which comes up in a later chapter, you know, have been together for almost 30 years now. You know, they're all around the country, so not everybody's going to get together next weekend, but a handful of guys are going to drive up and down the East Coast, and we'll have like, you know, 10 guys together, you know, that have been living life together for 27 years, and not all of them are people of faith, and some of them are, some of them aren't, but you know, we have you know, and so I mean, that's this week, you know, and it's so encouraging to me when I get a chance to talk about it, because it means so much to my heart and my soul. But it's hard work, right? At the same time, I mean, it's not always easy. You know, I'll just tell an anecdote. You know, I'm telling stories about how proud I am of something. I'll tell a story about how less proud I am of something. You know, I had a conversation with, you know, one of my dearest friends that's in a couple of those different groups. You know, in the Tennessee area last night, and you know, I was a little bit of a jerk to him last night, you know, later last evening. I hate to say this. And I woke, you know, I went to bed, you know, sort of conscience torn, you know, having put sort of transaction and instrumentality over a relationship. And, you know, I woke up first thing this morning and I felt awful, overnight. And I, you know, called him first thing and said I was a jerk and I'm sorry, right? But the good thing is, you know, I had him there to be a jerk to. And then I was a jerk, and then I was able to say sorry. I mean, I'm really sorry. And if you're out there, dude, you know I'm talking to you. Tell everybody now. But you know, then like he forgave me, right? It was like a nothing. You know, it was a big nothing burger between us. We get 30 years of capital, and he's like, "Oh, are you kidding me? I get it. You know, no worries.
Mm-hmm.
We're you know moving on, right?" So anyway, I'm touched just recalling it right now.
Well, that's good. Jeremy, I want to ask you, how do you personally do this? How do you kind of personally structurally anchor relationships in a really intentional way? I mean, I think I've seen even, you know, being kind of acquaintances and friends with John and stuff like that. You guys have a group of, what is it, 4 or 5, 6 of you guys, something like that. But talk about that. How do you guys, either whether it's with guys, whether it's maritally, how do you kind of structurally kind of mitigate against these, the vortex of technology or isolation or some of these other things?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Yeah, me and John and a guy named Kyle Chowning and Derek Webb and Carlos Whitaker, you know, we've had a what we call mastermind group. I hate that name, mastermind, but because none of us are masterminds at any.
You are masterminds, name it, right?
Yeah.
Call it the brain trust.
Yeah, something. And so we would get together a lot once a week, and then that kind of fell through due to all of us are travelers, you know, touring speakers or touring musicians or whatever. And so, but it continued via text. So ironically, it became almost purely technology based. But yeah,
but that's using it for good though. Yeah.
But it is hard. I mean, my wife and I even tried every Friday night having about 20 people over to our house just to host and do that. But it's been hard, obviously, in the season. You know, everyone has different levels of comfort and uncomfort with COVID. And so a lot of people just refuse to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm more than ever, I know y'all know this, but loneliness and isolation is hard. I'm trying to walk my dad through all this right now. We just lost my mom about a month ago. So my dad is grieving alone and he's like trying to go volunteer with nonprofits, and they can't let him due to coronavirus. And it's like, it's misery for him, you know.
Wow.
How old is he, Jeremy?
He's 73. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, I mean, it's always something I'm trying to figure out, you know, how do we, and it's hard with 4 young kids, you know, my wife and I are drowning in the day-to-day duties of just being parents, you know, and juggling our jobs. And so intentional community and getting together in person really, really takes work, especially in this crazy and chaotic year.
That's good.
Yeah, I
That's
want to
good.
throw out a little bit of encouragement too. I mean, it does take a lot of work and it is hard, but I think we should also not put so much undue pressure on the way we do it, because I think that paralyzes some people.
Totally
You know,
agree.
like, oh, I got to do this or I got to do that, or I got to have a discipleship group or a Bible study. I mean, I was just talking to my best friend this morning, and a mutual friend of ours. We have a group of guys, and we just call ourselves the Biscuit Boys because we get together and have biscuits at the same place.
I like
as American
that.
Biscuits.
That is
And-
a great movie title.
Oh,
I know.
Okay.
And you know, just again, my earlier point of I think just being perfect for people.
That's
You being a biscuit boy, you got biscuit boy written all over you, dude.
Yeah.
I've never heard something, and I so instantly want to be a part of it and have that name as part of my identity. Like so immediately, I need
y'all
to be
are
a
welcome.
biscuit boy.
When but you know, we haven't been meeting because of COVID, and he was like, man, I don't want like Bible study or discipleship. I just want to hang out with the Biscuit Boys, you know. But it's like it's kind of like a mix of like the old guys at the same restaurant for 25 years that just like,
Yeah,
I almost swore there, sorry, they like complain about life all day.
Totally.
It's a mix of that, but it's also like, man, we have had some powerful moments where somebody shows up and they just like they're wrecked with something in life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We just were there, you know. We pray and we stand and we are together. So
No,
don't put too much pressure on it.
Joel, that is just great. I'm so glad you're saying that. 100% agree. It's not always the what you do; it's the fact that you're doing it, right? So I'm 100% in favor of Biscuit Boys, and you know, and all of the dimensions of the things that I'm talking about with all these groups of folks from around the country. And the history all have Biscuit Boy dimensions to them for sure. You know, they're less Bible study than they are Biscuit Boy for sure.
Yes, I love that. Oh man, we might have to end on Jeremy's last little amazing nugget and then Biscuit Boys. That's how you close out a show right there. But before we do that, anyone, final thoughts, final things that you feel like this resonated with that we want to bring home before we go to the music?
I would just say when you do a podcast with where you have one job to read a chapter, I would suggest people you should read that chapter.
Or you can just be as awesome as you were, where you still had all these golden nuggets without reading it. I wish I had that skill, you know?
Exactly.
There you go.
It's all good, bro. It's all good.
Exactly.
So what we always say back and forth to each other, at least I say to myself over every day, is like, you know, the American awakening, spiritual awakening is going to happen no matter whether we read the books.
Yes, exactly.
However, I mean, it's going to happen if God wants it to happen. So I'm just trying to show up, and so we're just thank you for showing up, Jeremy. So thank you so much. Man.
Yes.
I'm gonna go cry myself on the couch and
Then you come on down and we'll have some biscuits together.
Exactly. Real quick, Jeremy, too, before we close out, tell people, anything that. So I mean, I kind of already read the Purpose Hotel, the photography, but where would you want to point anyone and kind of have people go say hi and make sure if they wanted to learn more?
yeah, I'm actually enjoying TikTok these days.
Ooh, there you
TikTok
go.
is weird, but it's fun. JeremyCowart.com, at Jeremy Cowart. That's it. So thank you for having me.
Hey, Jeremy,
Awesome.
before you go, do you know about our show the 28th? You heard about that?
Nope.
So we got the show called Better Together. It's if anybody wants to be part of it. There we go. And so for King and Country, Lecrae, Crowder, Jonathan McReynolds, on a roof for one night in Nashville. It was the Bobby.
Fire.
And it was on fire. And the cut of that is awesome. Marissa's doing that. And so the 28th, if you feel like joining along with us, it's free to everybody, and check it out. There we go. Register for free at AmericanAwakening.us. So podcast listeners, you can go to AmericanAwakening.us, and it is for free, and it is quite a show. You've never seen anything like it.
This is a virtual thing or physical thing?
I'm sorry?
This is a virtual or physical thing?
Well,
It's online. It
actually
happened in person. Yeah.
It actually existed. The concert actually happened on the roof of the Bobby Hotel. We cut it.
You might have heard it a couple streets down from your house. You might have heard this music and be like, "What is that?" There was this.
So this group was all together on the top of the Bobby Hotel. We shot it a few weeks ago, and we've just been mixing it and remixing it to come out just the right way. And I will tell you, because I know you're a pop culture aficionado, that if you saw the Coldplay from the top of the rooftops in Amman, Jordan,
Let's see that.
that was our inspiration. But this is
Oh,
times better. I mean, seriously, the cut
So
is
good.
way better because it's got. The production quality is. I mean, Chris Martin should be ashamed of himself. I'm just gonna say it. Chris Martin should be ashamed. I love Chris Martin, but no, I mean, obviously we didn't.
but he was outdone.
I'm sorry.
I said, but he was outdone.
Yes, for these purposes, the show that Marissa put on, it is
Totally.
gorgeous. For King
Well
and Country, it's the city background, and Lecrae the same, and Crowder in the heat of day, just sun beating down. It was awesome. Crazy.
Which no musician likes better than that. I just love sweating and just getting
Exactly.
dominated. Yes.
Jonathan McReynolds-
It adds a vibe. It adds a vibe.
Reynolds, as the sun is setting, the most perfect sunset you've ever seen. It was like, woo!
Yes.
I cannot wait to one day.
Enjoyed himself immensely.
Yes. What were you saying, Jeremy?
I cannot wait to one day host y'all's next rooftop concert at the Purpose Hotel.
There you go.
Yes.
That would be
Yes.
amazing.
Hotel roof is going to be fire.
That's
I
right.
know.
That's
I
right.
love that. I love that. Okay, well, let me close this out because we got to get to some music. More music. This could be like a precursor at some level. But man, this was a fun conversation. Was that chapter, there's 9 chapters, so we're getting there, a couple more weeks. But yeah, I wanted to just thank Jeremy and everyone for joining us to discuss the new book, American Awakening, 8 Principles to Restore the Soul of America. July 28th, it's coming, guys. So pre-order it anywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, wherever you buy great books. It's been said that this book is perfectly suited to be the post-pandemic racial awakening bounce back playbook. And we believe that to be true. And hopefully these conversations are showing that to be true. I know it is for me. Really compelling and fun to be a part of. So consider checking that out and supporting it. And don't forget to keep joining us here weekly for American Awakening in Focus on the live stream and the podcast. And we have 3 more chapters to go. And we got some awesome special guests we're planning. And finally, like Jeremy already mentioned, for more of his work, jeremycowart.com. And then now we're going to go over to Dan to close us out with some awesome music.
Well, good afternoon. It's good to see you from Nashville here. Man, I was just thinking when you guys were talking about all these bands and stuff like that, and I just kept thinking, nothing says social distancing like Crowder. So I don't know. It just came to me. I know it's really dumb. I'm a dad. These are just the things that happen.
Bad joke time.
So actually, it's great to see Jeremy Cowart on. Jeremy is just amazing. Certainly a big part of my own story. I love getting to see Jeremy's face. So I'm coming to you. We've got a great musician today. I have been trying to get this woman on our show for a while now, and it's been really difficult. Mostly because she is, I think scholars would maintain, theologians would agree that even though they do argue about most everything else, that this is the kindest musician on the planet. This is so we're going to introduce you guys to Amanda Noel today. Amanda is the also scholars and theologians maintain that she is the better half of this incredibly creative team of Jonathan and Amanda Noel. Sorry, Jonathan, it's science. And so we're just really excited to have Amanda on the show today. Amanda, thanks for taking time and being with us today. I know you guys had a late night last night doing something very nostalgic. What were you guys doing last night?
Well, we went to a drive-in movie theater last night. It was so fun, just like when you're a kid and well, Dan, I think you said you went in your station wagon.
Yeah.
But being in rural Oklahoma, we had a pickup truck. So, you have to hold
you guys had a late night last night.
bed down and everybody's sitting there together. It was fun. It was a blast.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. You guys, and you got to see Star Wars, I think, right? It was The Empire Strikes Back.
The Empire Strikes Back, which is arguably, the best one.
See?
We would argue.
Yeah. You know what? This is another reason why I like you. I'm in full agreement of that statement. So, was the best. So, so so you guys have been really busy, obviously juggling a million different things. I know you just spent time in Nashville working on some music, and now you're back up in the Wake Forest area. But I've known you obviously for a long time, and I've been such a huge fan of your music and your voice. And when you and Jonathan found each other and started making music together, also, I was, always amazed. There's a thing that we like to call blood harmony, where it's actually people that, you've got brothers and sisters that come together, and when they sing together, it just makes a noise that is like nothing else. And you guys, I remember when you guys started singing together, and at one of my own birthday parties, you guys sang together, and just being blown away by the harmonies that you and Jonathan created. So anyway, I would love to hear you play some music for us today. Are you open to playing some songs for us?
Yes, I'm ready to go. My tech support husband got me all set up, so I hope we're all good to go. I really enjoyed the conversation before in chapter 6, so I think I'm gonna have to read chapter 6 of your book, John. I loved hearing about the narrative and remembering the story that we're a part of, who we are. So this song I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to have Jonathan join me on the next song, but this is called Be the Beloved. Just when we have to make ourselves be still and remember who we are. And I think everything else flows out of that, the community and the reaching out, like they were talking about in the discussion just now. So this is called Be the Beloved. It's the big exhale, it's the brave release. It is trusting in the promises he sings. It's against my way, not my first response. It is not the natural way that I see things. Just to be the beloved, just to live with hands open, just to rest in the knowledge that God rejoices over me with singing. When the world cries out, when the voices lie, when it all comes crashing down before my eyes, when I hold on tight, gripping cold and white, will you open up my hands and my eyes, just to be the beloved, just to live with hands open, just to rest in the knowledge that God rejoices over me with singing. I am exhausted with the trying, controlling and holding, but he is holding me. It is lifting up, it is holding arms of the one who's fallen broken beside me. It's remembering all that he has done, everything made true to set us free, just to be the beloved, just to live with hands open, just to rest in the knowledge that God rejoices over me with singing, just to be the beloved, just to live with hands open, just to rest in the knowledge that God rejoices over me with singing.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
So beautiful. So Amanda, so what is you and Jonathan? So you guys are you're obviously you're doing a lot of the worship leading and kind of creative stuff for this church community. And what has that been like in this season? Because we're seeing a lot of, our conversation today obviously being about, boy, it's been like the centrifuge pushing everybody away from each other with all of the various things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
How are you able to like music for a church really feels like it comes out of, and I know this has been a lot of your philosophy, is that the music comes out of the stories and the pieces of community that happen around you. And so that's sort of the testament, right? You write songs that are saying, this is what God is doing here where we are among us, that kind of witness. But in a season when we're looking at, people being isolated and separated, how has that impacted the way you guys are able to approach the music for your church, the way that you're trying to draw congregations still together to see God and in this sense of kind of a unifying sort of vision?
Oh, gosh. Well, let's see. I wish that I could say more about the church part, but honestly, Jonathan carries the load of that. And the kids and I have the privilege to volunteer and be part of it once a month. So really that's the bulk of my help in that, is just encouraging Jonathan. You're going to get it done this week. It's going to be great. But it's actually played out in a non-musical way for me.
Yeah.
And that with all this going on and me saying, Lord, what do I do? I don't know what to do in this. And just, our whole July, we had all these things booked and these plans made, and all the spring, and, we're just on hold that way. Jonathan has gotten busier. I'm pointing to him right here because he's actually right here.
Yeah.
But I felt like, number one, the Lord's wanted me to fix my eyes on him for everything.
Yeah.
And not look at everything around, because it's so crazy and it's hard to know what to make of it. But the other thing is just going back to his word. What do you tell us to do? And it's, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind. The second part is the loving your neighbor part. And I love the conversation today about community. And although I can look at John and think, you got this like 30-year group going, or this 20-year group, or Jeremy, I can't remember how long you said you've been with, I heard Derek's name in there, Derek Webb and John. And, but I can start somewhere. I have my community already here of friends that we homeschool and just different people that I'm with here. But my neighbors, I don't know my neighbors. And so I started calling neighbors, or interacting on Nextdoor, or just trying to be outside when I knew they were going to be outside so I could say hello. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I've been able to have neighbors over, and I just pull chairs out on the front walkway.
Yeah.
And I just say, come over, and I can't, we can have our own coffees, but let's just get together. And I've been able to have these really wonderful conversations with neighbors. And we happen to live in a very diverse neighborhood. So I'm getting to know people that are really different than me, but also trying to talk about the things that are common about us, and how can we focus on what is the same. And but just, it has been so cool. It's been one of my favorite things. And I have new friends now. I have, my friend right over here that I never talked to, but she and I get together for coffee now, and we're different. And
What a great thing. I think I read a statistic. It's been a little while now, and I can't imagine it's actually trended the opposite way, but it was something like 75 to 80% of people would not be able to recognize their next door neighbor if they saw them at the grocery store or someplace out of context from their neighborhood. It was something really crazy.
Yeah,
like, I know, right?
yes.
Like, we really have gotten out of the habit of knowing the people that are around us. And so what a great thing for you to be able to step in and just meet your neighbors, even in a season like this where we are also on top of just our normal flow of, I'm not going to leave my lane and go try to meet somebody else. But now it's scary to meet the person that lives next door because of things like COVID-19. And so, so I feel like that's what a compelling opportunity to just be able to know your neighbors. Way to go.
So great. Oh, it's been a huge blessing. So I've enjoyed it.
Wow.
So.
Great. That's amazing. Well, and yeah, aside from being just a great singer-songwriter, Star Wars Empire Strikes Back lover, you've been making music for a long time. You've sort of you shifted, because I remember initially having a cassette tape.
Oh yeah.
Kids, a cassette tape is this small square rectangular thing that you and anyway, but and how have you found yourself kind of evolving over the years? Like, do you feel like you're, is there more you want to be doing with your music? Do you feel like you're in a great spot creatively? Has this been a good creative season for you?
Well, this season, I feel like when we decided years and years ago to homeschool our kids, I knew that was going to be a shift.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we're in a chapter, and the Lord has been so good to, get us bookings for just enough things where Jonathan does more than I do. But when we go out together, or I do like women's retreats or nights, just different events for evening things.
Yeah.
And it's been great. I feel like it's helped me scratch that itch enough to keep that alive. And like this song I wrote at a women's retreat in the fall, after listening to the speaker. It was all about that, and I just loved it. And I just sat there just writing the whole time. It was fun. So I get that itch scratched. But our kids are, 8th grade and 10th grade. So Jonathan and I are also seeing they are going to be out very soon. And so we both feel like we are entering back into that in a way.
Yeah.
So they need us less in some ways, except for the, conversations that go on till 1 o'clock in the morning about everything.
Yeah.
But
those are gifts. Those are gifts.
They are that stay awake. They're ready to talk right now.
Yeah. That's
stay
right.
in.
Yeah.
You can nap tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
That I feel like that will come back again in more fullness. But I am content where I am. I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, with that being the focus right now.
Yeah.
And the Lord's teaching me other lessons. His word is so good, and it's kind of all there is. So I feel like, Lord, I know you're preparing me for whatever season is next, and there will be another one, and there will be things will change after this too. And I don't want to miss the lessons he's trying to teach me. But am I talking too much?
No.
Marissa, when you were talking about that book, you wanted to throw that chapter. I totally get that. When you're like, don't tell me that. There was a morning because I get it. I get it. And so I had to push myself, even just with the neighbor thing. But
I love that. By the way, can I just say that I love that neighbor story? I love the neighbor story. And there's actually an anecdote that's like that in the book as well. Just saying, hey, sometimes things the deck reshuffles, and you're not finding community the same ways. And you just got to say, hey, neighbor,
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love it.
Oh, it's cool. It's the first time I've known like Mike, Omar and Brandy, Imani, Kristen, Barbara and Ben. Like I know all their names now. We talk in the yard. We talk,
Right.
But
So
I was gonna say, Marissa, when you were talking about that, because it's not what you wanted to read then. You're like, oh, I hate it. I love my toes to be stepped on, but I don't like it at the same time.
Yeah.
There was a morning when we go once a month to this nursing home. Of course, right now we're not, and this group of friends and families, we go and we do this hour with these folks at this nursing home, and it's always so wonderful and it's always so rich, but it is never convenient. And the morning comes and I'm always like, oh gosh, I really don't want to do this morning. I don't want to go. I've got so much I need to do. And, kind of talk myself out of it. And my husband had to say, it's not about convenience. And I was like, oh, I'm going to throw chapter 6 at him.
Here.
Anyway, it stuck in my head too. Just the whole, man, it is not convenient. And the coffee that becomes like 2.5 hour talk. I've got a lot of laundry to do. I've got stuff I got to do. Yeah. And it's not convenient, but man, I feel like if we kind of push ourselves and make ourselves do it and ask the Lord to help us, it always pays off. It's always worth it.
Yes. There are not enough coffee / laundry facilities out there. Come on.
Oh, I love
for real,
that.
Right?
Yes.
See, this is what the world needs.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, Amanda, would you? We'd love to hear another song from you. We don't want to keep all our folks waiting too long, and I want to hear your voices. Yeah. So thank you so much. You're I'm always grateful to hear your words and hear what you're thinking about. And what a great gift it is to have you on the show with us. So thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome Jonathan here as well. So
thank you.
This is from Psalm 27, one of my absolute favorite passages. And so just wanted to do this morning to just really hope to encourage you all and anyone who's listening. I'm just going to sing it. I remain confident of this, that I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be strong, take heart, and wait on the Lord. Be strong, take heart, and wait on the Lord. I remain confident of this, that I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be strong, take heart, and wait on the Lord. Be strong, take heart, and wait on the Lord. And He will keep me safe there in His dwelling place, and He will hide me in the shelter of the rock. Oh, and I will shout with joy and sing
to the Lord, because he heard me and he has shown me mercy. So I remain confident, confident of this I will see. I remain in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord, so be strong, take heart, and wait on the Lord. Be strong, take heart, and wait on the Lord. Be strong, take heart, and wait on the Lord. Be strong, oh, take heart, and wait on the Lord. We've got to wait on the Lord. We will wait on the Lord.
Yeah.
Wow,
Good work.
beautiful.
Wonderful. Amanda, so good to see you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for playing some music for us. Thanks for leaving us with that. I mean, just a good place to spend some time in this idea. How do we just wait on the Lord? It's kind of all we can really do. So yeah.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yep. And nice to see Jonathan there, special guest. Glad he was with you today too. So, all right. Thanks so much. All right. We'll kick it back to you guys up in the northern part of the world.
Appreciate that. Be the beloved, wait on the Lord, and Biscuit Boys. That's what we got for you today. So good stuff coming from a lot of different sources. Jeremy, great to have you with us. Dan, as always, a pleasure. And Noels, thank you so much. God bless you all out there. Thank you. We're thinking of you. We pray for you every day. It's tough out there, but hey, keep fighting the good fight. God's got you. And thanks so much now. Until we see you next.